You know, I watched him die. I watched him bleed. I saw them lay him in the tomb. And a few days later, I went back to the tomb. And when I got there, I noticed that the stone that covered the entrance had been moved. There were no guards, no body, no nothing. I mean, it was almost like it hadn't happened. But the images that flooded my mind, I knew that it had. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, in the past, I knew what was expected. When someone dies, you take spices and you prepare their body for burial. But his body was gone. What was I supposed to do? So I ran back to the upper room and I told the others of everything that I had seen of the tomb, of the body. And they thought I was crazy. They kept insisting that I was out of my mind with grief. But let me tell you, I know all too well the difference between grief and pure insanity. Peter, though, he took off like a shot to see for himself. And John, well, I guess if there was any chance that what I was saying might be true, John was going to find out. And everyone else just stayed put. They were probably scared out of their mind. But when we got there, everything was just as I had said. And the two of them actually went into the tomb, although they didn't really tell us anything new. And then we walked around for a little while, trying to make heads or tails of what we were seeing. And then I guess they went home, or back to the others. I'm not really sure. I was way too preoccupied to be paying any attention. I mean, he was gone. How do you explain that? I mean, it was like someone just came in and carried him away. And who would do that? And why? I mean, wasn't commanding his death enough? And for what? For setting people free? People like me? All I could do was cry. And as I'm crying, these two men, they appear right inside the tomb. And they begin to ask me why I was crying. And I told them, because someone has taken my Lord and I don't know where he is. And then as I'm speaking to them, another man appears. And I just assume he's a gardener. And he asked me, woman, why are you crying? And I told him, sir, if you would just tell me where my Lord is, I will go get him. And then he called my name. And here I am, thinking he's the gardener. And in that moment, in that instant, in that one name, I knew beyond any doubt that it was my Lord, my teacher. It was Jesus. And I knew because he called my name. And yeah, I get it. What's the big deal about being recognized? But really, how many times in your life have you been really, really seen? See, I've been looked at my whole life. And every time someone looks at me, every thought in their head is written in their eyes. People were ashamed. They pitied me. They were disgusted. They were afraid. But not Jesus. Not ever Jesus. See, Jesus doesn't just look at you. He sees you. And when he looked at me, he looked straight through 7 different kinds of evil and saw the girl who just wanted to be free. And I knew, the moment that he called my name, I knew that it was him. And everything inside me just jumped for joy. And all I could do was cling to his feet. And I wanted desperately to never let him out of my sight again. But he told me that I had to let go. He said that he still had to go to the Father. You know, he actually said that he'd be going to his Father and that he'd be going to my Father. He said that he'd be going to his God and that he'd be going to my God. And he told me to go tell the others, and that he'd meet up with us again. And then he said, "Do not be afraid." So I went and I told the others of everything that I had seen, and they didn't believe me. But they hadn't yet seen. But I did. And I know that it's true. He was dead.